Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse pregame show. And tonight we have two of our favorite guests. Actually, we only have three guests on the show.
But we're still
These are two of our three favorites.
The syndicate's in the house.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And one day we'll get JD to join us again. And perhaps we'll even have an extra special guest in other times. I'm gonna start opening it up and bring on other people and get some other voices on here. It'd be fun to chop it up with other brilliant Knicks minds like yours. You know. All right, guys. Well, welcome, Quis, welcome, Foxy. How are you guys doing today?
All good. Salute to you. Salute to Quis. Salute to the chat. Salute to the SV Nation. Salute to into the Knicks-Verse family.
Yeah, man. It's been a while since we're coming off a win, so I'm hyped.
Yeah,
Let's go, baby.
Yes,
dude. It's been 11 days, 11 or 12 days since the previous win.
Has it really been that long? That's what, a week and a half. Wow.
Yeah. When I sat down to do the post game recap last night, I realized, wow, it had been 10 days since I'd done a winning recap. Let me tell you, man, it was weighing on me.
It was a brutal stretch of basketball, that's for sure.
It was hard. It was harsh getting up here and trying to talk about them and stuff. And, because you're hurting and there's reasons why they lost and it's frustrating. But at the same time, man, you still got to do it because that's part of the whole situation. The wins and losses, you're not going to win every game. So what can you do, man? What can you do? And salute to the chat. Salute to the chat. Rick Pennington for joining us. Thank you. Sam L. Connor Toolin. Tam Hill. Salute to you guys. All right. I love the early crowd. The early crowd are awesome, man. All right. And if you guys have any questions or whatever, just drop them in the chat for us and we'll get to them. Today, we are finally coming off a win. Just last night, the Knicks exploded upon the Spurs. Now, the Spurs, it was a back-to-back for them. They had played the Suns the night before. So, it was a game that we should have won, but I don't know how many times we've said that before and didn't. So we can't underestimate the fact that we went to someone's home court. And actually, we haven't won in San Antonio since 2015.
14. We lost 7 straight.
Yeah. So we haven't won in San Antonio since 2014. Wow. Well, so you guys, Foxy, how about we start with you? What are your feelings about last night's game before we move on to the pregame discussions with the Pacers?
I was so happy. It was long overdue for us in the Knick fandom, and RJ was wonderful. He looked fresh. He was great in transition, made those 7 threes, and we learned he had a stomach bug for 2 weeks. So that made a lot of sense why he just looked off. And it was a strange game in a lot of ways. Randall's first field goal wasn't until 8 minutes into the third quarter, and then he went off for 3 straight. But it was a good win for us.
Quis, how about you, man?
It was a great game. I mean, RJ Barrett coming off the Tom Thibodeau post-game presser, you really wanted to see how he was going to step up and respond. So for him to come out and play the way he did, I think that was great for him, for his confidence, both in himself and also his teammates' confidence, looking at him being able to step up and find his shot and also be able to attack the rim and finish in a few attempts. Also, I like the way Mitch looked out there. Mitch responded well to the demotion. He was able to come back with that second unit and still be a solid presence. He had a bunch of offensive rebounds. How many did he have in total? I believe like 7.
He had
7.
8.
He had 7 in the first.
He had 8 total. Yeah.
Yeah. He had 7 in the first half, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had a crazy amount of offensive rebounds, and he was a factor in the paint, both on defense. And I saw Mitch calling for the ball. There were 2 occasions in the second quarter where Mitch got the mismatch. He called for the ball. I think Quick missed him on an alley-oop, and I forgot who missed him on the other play. But then for the third time, he called for the ball. They got it to him. He drew a foul, and he was able to go to the foul line. So that was positive to see from Mitch, him being aggressive and actually asking for the ball when he has the mismatch. And you mentioned it, Foxy, Julius Randle did not start the game on fire offensively. He didn't have his shot falling for him, but I think, didn't even take too many shots, but I think the way he was playing is exactly how we need Julius Randle to play. He was setting his teammates up to start the game, and then in that second half is when he started to look for his own shot. I think he had 13 points or something like that in the second half. And I think if he continues to play like that, this team is going to be a problem. I just loved everything I saw. There were some issues here and there, but when you look at the way our team played, really not the time to nitpick. It was a game that the Knicks had to go into San Antonio and get that win and try to right the ship. So we did that, and I'm extremely happy.
Yeah, we were a blink away from the 50-40-90 standard. We shot 47% field goal percentage, 47 from three, and 89. I'll round it off 90% from the foul line, which was wonderful. And getting back to what you said on Mitch, the losing from 280 down to 260 or 285 down to 260. You're already seeing a little more of he looked a little thinner actually. So yep. And it was funny because we touched on it yesterday. We missed you, but we touched on it that maybe he's going to be able to feast on second team centers and stuff like that. So he looked like he was rejuvenated.
Yeah, like a man possessed out there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Still hitting the floor too many times, but it is what it is. Like
you know what? I think we should start for both him and Noel an over under. How many times are they on the deck in a game?
Yeah, I was actually on Reddit on the Knicks thread there, and someone was asking that, and I said, the eye test, I'd say he body slams hardwood about 2.3 times per game.
One of them wasn't his fault. Somebody was out there trying to set up a chop block on a basketball court. That was crazy.
The Eubanks.
Oh, Eubanks. Yeah, you're right. Eubanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily,
dangerous play.
I think Quis said his
foot wasn't planted. Yeah, if his foot.
Thank God they weren't planted.
Nasty injury.
Yeah, but hopefully his tailbone didn't get too bruised.
Yeah, we call that the sacrament coccyx in the medical terms.
Dr. Quis here.
No, not Dr. Quis. Then somebody try to sue me.
Entertainment
purposes only.
I love when he talks medical talk. The fifth metacarse. That Jones fracture is unbelievable.
Hey, man, he pulled out the x-rays and everything, man. He knew what he was talking about.
No doubt.
Have a little fun out here.
Yeah, man. Well, I was ecstatic over the way that we won, because we've won games before, and of course you're always happy about wins, but this is the way. This is the way that the way that they played last night is a way that if they replicate that over and over and over again, they're going to win the majority of their games. That's the way where, especially, actually, I really got to commend Randall. He wasn't forcing it at all. He was looking. Yeah, I want to point out something. Now, I know Thibs doesn't watch my videos.
How do you know?
Some of might, who knows, but I specifically had an issue when Thibs says, we got to take what the defense gives you. And I see that as in a team structure, yeah, but as an individual player, the greats force defenses into doing something that is to their own advantage, to the offensive player's advantage. They set the people up. And Thibs actually rephrased that post. Actually, his post game last night was fantastic. If you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. It's a good watch at any time. And he rephrased it to say, God, I want to remember exactly. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I saw it, so I just want to make sure.
He was now it's blanking on my head, but basically his point was saying that you need to exploit, in essence, what he was saying, what the defense is allowing.
Yeah.
And that's more of what I'm thinking. That's more of the mindset that Julius needs to be in. And that's what he was doing. When he was getting doubled, he was spraying that ball quickly. He wasn't over dribbling. He wasn't trying to force the action like we were saying. He had very few he attempted little post ups. He didn't really do that much. He was really he hit his 3-point shots. He hit 3 out of 5. And RJ 7 of 8. Man, that's 10. So 10 of 13 3-pointers from our top 2 guys.
Yeah. I I think one of the key things that have plagued us all season is we went 7 for 12 in the third quarter. The third quarter has been our Achilles heel all year so far. So we shot 7 for 12 from 3 in the third quarter, and that helped propel us. We've come out flat, and thank God we didn't last night.
Yeah, we've had some poor second quarters recently and some poor third quarters, and those were our two best quarters last night. And RJ busts out, perfect timing, right after getting called out by his coach, and just Twitter sphere, everything going crazy and commenting on it. Even on ESPN, they were talking about it. It was just perfect timing. What I liked about RJ's reaction was never got offended, never took it personally. I don't even think he sweated it, honestly. What did he do? He went right to work. They landed in San Antonio the night before and went right to the gym. They had a shoot around. Apparently, I don't know, a couple of the Knicks players were there. And then the next night he comes out and just lights it up beautifully. 32 points, man. 11 of 20. Fantastic. Even his rebound, had 5 rebounds, had 2 assists, 2 steals. I really like that he's starting to get a few more steals.
Yep.
So we'll see if he can continue that.
Yeah,
And let's see if he can continue that going into tonight.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys feeling about this game, this matchup with Indiana?
Good. Feeling really good. The only thing last night that to work on RJ is he did miss 7 shots in the paint. So, and I think some of that also was attributed to him being out and getting tired. So he was fresh at the beginning, and then whether the dunks, he missed a dunk and a couple other things. George and I were talking during the game. Was like, we think he needs a breather. Let him come back in a few minutes, but I think he needs a little breather. But yep, if that. That's the thing we want, him finishing. We talked about it a lot. So that was the one area that still that we'd like to see him do a little bit better, but I'm not going to complain. 32 points coming back the way he did. Go RJ, go.
Awesome. And Quis, how about you? How are you feeling about, in general, the upcoming matchup in about an hour?
I feel good about it, especially coming off the win yesterday. We didn't have to really exert our team, so we should be a lot fresher coming in as opposed to if we had to play a real nail biter at the end. So I like that. Also, I feel good about this team when they try to step up against marquee matchups. Like when Julius Randle goes up against a Sabonis, you usually see his best effort. Now, if we're able to see his best effort in this play style we saw against the Spurs, I think Julius Randle could come out and have a pretty special game in both points and setting up his teammates. I think one thing I saw in the game against the Spurs, he was at one point really trying to look to get Evan Fournier involved. If I'm not mistaken, in the third quarter, Fournier was able to knock 2 shots down and try to get into a rhythm. So hopefully we see Julius Randle step up as that facilitator, get his guys involved. Hopefully Fournier can break out of the little slump he's been in. And, RJ Barrett can continue to build upon the positives that we saw from our game yesterday. I think when you look at this team, and I think we all would agree that this team needs to be consistent with their performances. A bad team can have a good performance one night. What makes a team good or great is the fact that you're able to string together those performances. So this would be the second game. Let's see if we can string a performance like we did last night tonight and come out with a victory.
Yeah. Strange thing tonight when we look at the stats that statistically it's almost a mirror image of ourselves, Indiana, with a couple of points off standard deviation wise, but it's really when we go through it across the board, it's almost the same thing. We're playing ourselves tonight.
That's true. Actually, let me pull up the stats here. I thought I had it ready here. All right, here we go. Yeah, we are kind of similar teams. Of course, I think it's kind of ironic that we're playing them, a day after the
news
Shams article that they're going to be rebuilding, and the Knicks. We have a history of kind of courting Miles Turner. There's been a lot of rumors in the past about Miles Turner joining the team or the Knicks trading for him, and apparently they must have just been asking for way too much in the past, which is why it never happened. But I wonder if I wonder if it's actually going to eventually happen and happen soon. So here are the Pacers, Knicks, the last 10 games. And like you were saying, we are kind of similar, both 4 and 6.
I was saying for this season, not really the last 10 games, but this is cool also.
Yeah. One reason I like looking at the last 10 games because you see where the team is,
Trending.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so this is really interesting. They've been scoring a lot more, almost 110 points per game, the Pacers. And they have a differential of almost 3 points per game, but yet only 4 and 6. So they must have had some blowouts and then maybe had some tight games where they lost. I'm not exactly sure, but look at the rebounding is very similar. They do get a lot more assists more than we do. Our assists 21.3 is still pretty dismal. Field goal percentage are 45.1%. We're at 43.8. The opponent points per game allowed, Knicks are at 104.8. Pacers are 106.8. So we finally have a plus differential again. It's been a while since the 10-game trending line. We had a plus differential. So now we do, which is excellent. One thing I want to show you guys is talk about. I'm going to show you this here. Here's RJ. And if you guys remember, last night in the post game, I talked about this, that the previous 4 games before the Denver game, he was starting to show signs of life. So now I went back and looked at the last 6 games, included the Denver one and last night's game. So for the season, RJ's averaging 14.8 points per game. But for that slump, the game 8 to 17, which included it ended with the Chicago game right before the Laker game, I believe. Yes. He was only averaging 12.4 points per game. But look at the field goal percentage during that slump, 31.1%. But the 3-point percentage was 20.8. That's dismal. But look at the 6 games since. 50% 3-point shooting. 47.7% overall field goal shooting. Overall. Now, his assists are low. Interestingly, the assists are down and the rebounds are down during the 6 games compared to the previous ones. So at least in the previous ones, he was trying to contribute other ways.
Yeah, that's Tibbs' mantra.
Yeah. But there you go. So the signs of life were beginning. And then I think that stomach flu just kind of like took him down and swirled him into a mess. And that kind of explains a little bit because we were talking about, God, why is he's front rimming? He's front rimming these shots. And it might have been the illness. He couldn't get in his groove. But there you go. This is like shows signs of life that he made. Last night's game may not be an aberration. It's actually could be a sign of him finally getting back to the player that he was last season. I'm looking for that first. Before we get all crazy and they're like, oh my God, he's leveled up, all-star, blah, blah. I just want to see him perform what he did last season, and then we can see where we go from there. What are your feelings about the recent, basically RJ season in general?
Well, the last few.
With you, Quis.
I'm sorry.
I always start with Foxy, but let's start with Quis first.
I mean, the season so far has been pretty up and down. I dropped a video on my channel talking about how his inconsistencies have really surprised me to start the season. So I'm ready for him to break out and start performing to the level of where he was drafted. I'm pretty confident in his abilities. I think he's a hard worker and he'll continue to figure it out as he gets more and more time out there on the court and gets over that stomach bug he was dealing with. But I think, RJ, as long as his shot is falling and he's giving us solid defense, that's really what I'm asking for this season. I thought we were coming into the season with a lot more scoring punch. So for RJ to really fill that 3-and-D role that Bullock had for us last season and just increase the scoring a little bit or the ability to create for himself some more, I think that would have been the perfect fit for this team or the perfect thing to ask RJ to do. for us in order to be a winning team. But so far, it's just been too inconsistent for me. So hopefully, like you're showing with the stats, he's starting to build towards being a more consistent scorer, knocking down the three with more consistency. And I think once he's able to do that, it'll open up everything else out there on the court, because now he's knocking down the three. The defense is going to have to step up and play him as a threat out there on the perimeter, and it's just going to open up his game to drive. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do tonight. Last night, I said he was going, or I expected a big game from him. I'm not going to sit there and say the same thing tonight, but I expect him to build upon that performance. It may not be another 30-point performance, but let me see, 18, 19, 20 points with solid shooting percentages and great defense. That's what I'm looking for RJ tonight.
Hey, fellas, you see that new conspiracy that RJ and a few others, some of the issues is due to them switching to a Wilson basketball from a Spalding basketball?
Are they complaining about it too?
Oh, that's back?
I read that today, that RJ commented on it and a few of the others, the way the ball's coming off the rim, but just the feel of the ball itself, that they have to get used to it. It just feels different to them. So I'm like saying, how do you mess with, these are like surgeons, these people, they're so sensitive. How do you do that? I don't care how much money you make, enough money. You don't have to, from an endorsement deal, make a change like that. So that was a new conspiracy theory I saw today, but yep, I'm looking for him. Not necessarily
right.
like
Isn't
he
it
said.
Like the threads are a little slightly different, right? The stripes on the
material is a little bit different.
Yeah,
it's a few things that they've changed going from different manufacturers. Before it was Spalding, now it's Wilson.
Yeah, and they said it just has different.
Street, how basketballs feel different.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially an indoor ball versus a ball that you use on the outside. It feels like it's just, all slick and stuff.
And everybody has their preferences.
But weren't they given the ball to play with all summer long and everything when they were practicing?
I think this is the ball for the last 37 years that they changed, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I know
it's not impacting Curry
in tennis
at all.
When you play with different balls. Yeah, you can't mess with a guy's balls, man. You can't. It's just throws them off.
Boom. Hit that roadcaster.
Didn't.
I gotta find which one it is. I think I have it, but I don't know which one it is.
It'll be a lady scream! I hit the wrong button.
Right.
All right, we got Rick here. Balls matter. Yes, they do, Rick. Yes, they do.
Yeah, if the queen had balls, she'd be king.
We don't pitch for Manscaped, but balls do matter.
Not yet. Hint, hint.
Hey.
Little free advertising. So the injury report, look at Nerlens. Day to day. This guy, man, he cannot stay healthy at all. He's definitely not the same player he was last season, man. Last season, I believe he led the league in defensive win shares, at least for a center. I know that. He may have led it for the whole NBA, but he can't stay healthy. And unfortunately, Jericho's not available. He's one guy. I really want to see him play some more. Every time,
especially with Noel being injured.
Yeah, there were definitely a few games where Jericho looked lost on the court,
which is normal for a rookie center or a rookie any position in this league.
Yeah, but he definitely has looked better more often than he's looked lost. I really like him. I'm missing him.
You see him on the sidelines?
What was that?
Did you see him on the sideline yesterday? Jericho with his cowboy garb. He has some cowboy print shirt. So he's went to Texas. So it's like yeehaw.
That's right, man. He must be a great poker player because he has a totally expressionless face. Be awesome. TJ Warren is still out. He's somebody actually that I would be more interested in than anybody else on the Pacers. That guy's gotten a lot of rest lately. He'd probably be cheap to get. And man,
foot injuries coming off though.
Yeah, foot injuries. But he'd be cheap to get. Offensively, he's just outstanding. outstanding. But he can't
You
stay
could
healthy.
ever replicate the bubble performance, that somebody would be lucky.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Let's check out. All right, well, here are our points leaders, season's points leaders. Brogdon is 20.5 points per game. He's averaging 45.3 point field goal percentage. Sabonis 12 rebounds per game, and assist. Brogdon is a 6.2. Randall leads still all three categories for us. They went down a little bit from last night. The assists went up, but the rebounds, and so there's so few games in general that one game can really sway it. Like, he was over 20 points last night or yesterday when we did the pregame. He was at 20.1, but we only scored 15 points last night. But I actually, of course, RJ gets the game ball, but I think Randall would get the other game ball as far as I'm concerned from last
and
night.
Mitch
For sure. Yeah. Mitch
They're in the runners-up circle.
Ball. Yeah, those were the three clear stars from last night. And Quickly actually had a really good game as well.
I wish he shot a little better from three, though.
Yeah. He only hit 2 of 8, but he got to the free throw line a couple times, and
gorgeous pass.
Yeah, some nice passing. Plus 13. He finished with 16 points. He was the third leading scorer for the Knicks. And Alec Burks. I want us to get into talking about him in terms of the point guard situation. It's still there's a lot of fans who still believe that Rose should just be the starter. Why aren't we doing it? There must be a very clear reason in Thibs' mind why he's not the starter, and he's not. Right now, Burks is the starter. How do you guys feel about how he's been performing since he was made the starter, including the Atlanta game? We'll start with Foxy this time.
Well, I thought yesterday was a good move. DeJounte is a big guard at 6'4", so I thought that Alec Burks' size. He was just a couple of points underneath. He averaged 19. I think he had 15 yesterday. I think he averages 8.5 rebounds and assists.
He only shot 6 of 15.
Yeah. So I thought situational. I think I think Burks works out well in certain situations, and yesterday was one of them. So I like it. And like I said, every game I think we have to adapt. Yesterday we saw. They were short in the center position, guys down low in the post. So whether it was Obi, they were getting throwing the ball in there to take advantage of that. So I think every game, depending on who we're facing, that's I don't think if he's going against somebody that's lightning quick, that maybe Burks would be the best point person to put in there.
Yeah, man. How about you, Quis? What's your assessment of Burks, the starter?
Well, I view Burks as a starter in terms or in order to increase our defensive production or defensive effort out there. I don't really view him as a prototypical point guard or as the answer for at point guard for us. So as long as he's going out there and playing solid defense, that's really what I'm asking of him. He also knocked down some key buckets too when it seemed like that the Spurs were starting to engineer a little bit of a run. He didn't go crazy like we've seen him do in some third and fourth quarters, but he did hit some key buckets that did keep the Spurs from finding a groove and trying to pull themselves into or tying the game or eventually a lead. So I like that from Burks. But me, I really want Burks to be a solid defender. My biggest issue with Kimba in the starting lineup wasn't his offense. It was the way he was playing defense out there. So as long as Alec Burks is going to play solid defense and make life difficult for DeJounte Murray or for any other guard that he's lined up against, I think that is what I'm really looking for him. When it comes to point guards, I think we have other options. George, you mentioned Rose. I think Quick would probably be better at running point than Alec Burks. But when you have Alec Burks playing the type of defense he was playing last night, where he's serviceable, he's making life difficult for people out there on the court, and he's not being a liability, then that's all I'm really asking for, because we have other players on this team that can kind of pick up the slack when it comes to trying to facilitate and create for others. I mentioned earlier, Julius Randle was trying to look for Evan Fournier. There were times Quick was out there looking for his teammates. He found Mitch a couple times, found Obi, and same thing with RJ. He found a couple of his teammates on some nice passes as well. So with Burks, I'm more so concerned about his defense than him being a great facilitator at that point guard position.
Yeah, it's weird on when I rewatched it today, and I took a couple of notes that one of my concerns actually at the point guard with him is his handle. He doesn't have point guard handles, Burks. So a couple of times when they put pressure on him, you saw that one time he picked up his dribble.
Turnover.
Yeah, so that's the only thing, depending on who he's facing, doesn't have point guard handles.
I forgot about that backcourt violation until you mentioned it.
But there was a couple other things also where he picked up his dribble and was able to get it. That when he gets pressured, sometimes I think he gets nervous with his dribbling.
Yeah, he does. He definitely doesn't have a point guard handle. That's for sure. That's his one major. I mean, he's done everything that Thibs has asked him to do, and I think he definitely fills that defensive role that we were missing. That that Elfrid Payton size, positional awareness. He definitely has. His defensive intensity is so much better than Kemba's. No doubt. He's a better perimeter defender than Rose.
Yeah,
he has been. He has been since he's been a Knick. Even though Rose's defense has definitely taken an uptick, but he's definitely overall. Overall, the Burks as point guard decision has been a success. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated into a lot of wins. We've only won 2 games since he's become the official point guard, or not the official, since he was started, because he was made the official point guard kind of the next game after that. But that's kind of neither here nor there. But he's definitely been. I'm going to look up his defensive rating since he became the starting point guard.
I think his size has made a difference. That Tibbs has this math philosophy of I don't want them getting, getting into the paint. Let them take those threes. So versus the Kemba and everyone, where they were, just getting into the paint at will. His size and everything has stopped a lot of that.
Yeah,
they shot well from 3 yesterday, though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
no, I meant the Spurs.
The Spurs did. I know, surprisingly. I mean, Derek White was hitting threes.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, because we said in the pregame that's not really. I think he was shooting 22 or some odd percent coming into the game from 3.
They also missed a lot of gimmies too from 3. That was another thing I saw. We were giving up a lot of open looks. Luckily, the Spurs weren't able to make them. Hopefully,
they're not that
carry
kind of
over into this game.
Yeah. Look, they were the perfect opponent for us, because, like we were saying yesterday, that they're not a big 3-point shooting team, and that's been our major weakness. We hold people down in the paint, and that's where they thrive, mid-range and paint. So technically, we should have won that game regardless. We did it. We pulled it out, though. But, we had some bad mojo. But Alec Burks, since he became a starter, his offensive rating is a 121, and his defensive rating is a 116, which is kind of high.
It's kind of high, yeah.
He's still on the plus side, and it's high because he, well, we've been giving up a lot of points, but Chicago, Denver, and even the Spurs, they got 109 points last game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a lot that we gave up. So, it's hard to say that, he alone has been, a defensive stopper. He hasn't, but what he's done to kind of seal up the in our perimeter defense has really helped. And in terms of penetrating into the paint, he's definitely been a deterrent to that. And even when people do kind of get by him, he's big enough to still make them uncomfortable. So I like what he's been doing in that respect. It seems like we're going to stick with this for a while.
Yep. Right? This was the chart I was saying. If you look at it, how close we are from a season average, it's just a couple of percentage points off along so many categories. The only good one, though, where we're not, is they're only shooting 32 and change from 3. So similar to
even did you say the free throw is the same? Exactly.
That's what I was saying earlier when I went over my notes before the game today. I was like, God, I'm going down the list. I'm like, boy, really close these numbers for the season average between our two teams.
Yeah. Look, rebounds, exactly the same number. Points
Crazy,
per game,
eh?
a half-point difference. The two major differences actually are the assists and the three-point shooting, which kind of makes sense because we have more three-point shooters that shoot off the bounce now. With Burks in the starting lineup, with Fournier, and even Randall. He shoot, and so that kind of makes a little bit of sense there. It's interesting.
Yeah, the Spurs had 30 assists yesterday in a losing cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even in a losing, they're moving that ball.
Smart. That's what you got to do. That's what
and we were only 0.4 off our season average yesterday, even though it was a good win.
Yeah. Now, Burks, for the 19 games before he started, his offensive rating was a 120, but his defensive rating was a 109. So he's actually quote giving up more points, but he's also playing in a starting lineup. He's playing against better quality opponents, so that's going to impact. But we'll see.
That unit isn't as good defensively as our second unit too.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. That's very true. So that just goes to show that even by adding him, it doesn't mean that automatically we become a sensational defensive team. But we're trending in the right direction. We just went through a really painful stretch there. I mean, that was a rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
That was a rough stretch since pretty much since the 5-1 start.
Yeah. Hey, when your fives are hurting, it impacts your help defense greatly.
Yeah. And there's very little consistency in our five.
Exactly.
For a little while, but still. Yeah, man. All right, but look at the points in the paint. Indiana, they own the paint.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a good job. That's Sabonis mostly, and Brogdon's penetration. We're going to have to keep them out of the paint somehow. Fast break points, they're beating us as well. Second chance points, we're ahead there. I think we're a better offensive rebounding team in general, I believe.
Yeah, we did a great job yesterday on holding them down on fast break points. The Spurs, they only had 7 last night.
Oof. Yeah, that was nice. All right, let me go to. Here we go. All right. So, what are the Foxy? What's one of the key matchups for tonight for the Knicks?
We just don't want Miles Turner doing what he did last time. We don't want him lighting us up from 3. So we want to see from an adjustment standpoint if he hits 1 or 2. And Mitch is having issues getting out there. Let's see the adjustment Tibbs makes, whether it's putting Randall on him or Obi or somebody. But that's what I'm looking for. That let's not have history repeat itself.
Cool. How about you, Quis?
It's not even just Turner. What was the big that came off the bench?
No,
Betazde.
Oh yeah.
That you say his last name?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he came in and off the bench behind Turner in one of those games, and he beat the brakes off us too, knocking down 3s. So we just have to do a better at that 5 position, guarding the 3, regardless who's out there, whether it be Turner or the Betazde guy. I'm not sure how to say his last name. That's how I said it right.
Yeah, that's right.
All right,
I forgot his name, and then you said it. I was like, oh yeah, that's it.
Either one of those two. We can't allow them to start getting hot from downtown and really start forcing us to scramble out there. Because one thing we see when we pull Mitch, and if Nerlens Noel plays, we pull those guys out. I don't want to say it's an open field day for guards to penetrate and get into the paint, but it's been a lot easier. That's the whole purpose of pulling those guys out the paint, for guards to get in there. And our perimeter defense has not been up to par so far. So I want to make sure we are locking up guys like Brogdon, not allowing him to cause havoc getting into the paint. And if he's able to get to the paint, that's really what's going to set up players like a Turner and a Betazde. They're not really going to try to take the ball and cook you themselves. They're going to find spots on the court and get found by Brogdon or players like that. So that's what I'm concerned about in this game. I think if we're able to, neutralize Brogdon, he's not an elite player. He's a solid player. So I think we should be able to make life difficult for him and not allow him to go off. And then the same thing with Turner and Bataz. They can't allow them to have fun out there.
One thing
Play
working in our
physical. We got to start playing physical.
Yeah. I think one thing working in our favor is TJ McConnell, perennial Nick Pest, is out for, I think, for the season with a wrist surgery. So we won't see him tonight.
This is interesting.
Is it the same wrist injury as what's the player? Bam?
I don't know. I think Bam is a thumb.
Nerlens is out tonight.
Guess is he
starting? Out?
Taj?
Mitch.
Taj.
What?
Yo.
Yep.
Quis, I love your face.
It makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense. Like, I understand you just bench Mitch. You don't want to elevate him back to the starting lineup, but
according to Ian Begley,
that's crazy.
Knicks say Nerlens Noel is out due to back issue, and Taj Gibson will start versus Pacers tonight.
Oh, need a hamstring to back.
It's everything with this guy.
It's everything. December 15th. If there's an offer at December 15th, pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Interesting. I mean,
flabbergasted is the word.
Yeah, Fred Katz just came over on my thing. Fred Katz just reported the same thing.
That's wild.
George had to scratch his temple just now. You saw that. He said he's trying to figure it out. Like, what are they trying to do? I mean, Taj, not to bash Taj or anything, but I still think Taj isn't a better option than Mitch. So do you think it's just a fit? You're going to have Mitch come off the bench saying that he looked good last night and you don't want to change things up too much? Or, I mean, that's honestly the only reason I can think, because I don't think Taj is a better option than Mitch.
Do you think Taj is better at the perimeter than Mitch at this point, though?
Yeah, but I don't know, because I see Taj.
I know. I'm just throwing it out there, trying to think myself. Like, all of us had the same look in our face, like Taj.
Yeah, because I've seen Taj push Obi. Like, Obi, no, you go out there and close out on the perimeter, because I'm not
young buck. I'm old.
Yeah,
let me hang out here.
That'll be interesting. Let's see what Turner does against Taj. I think Taj can play physical, though. I'll give him that. I did just say that. So hopefully he's able to make life difficult for Turner, and we'll see what happens with the 3-point shooting.
I just want to see Taj, make it through the first quarter.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. Do you think they'll put Taj on Sabonis and Randall on Turner with this going down?
Well, you know what? That kind of connects to my one key matchup that I was worried about, which is the Sabonis-Randall duel. And sometimes we've seen Randall, sometimes he takes it a little personally. He kind of overplays. He dominates the ball too much when he's like faced with like a Tobias Harris, like a guy that he feels like
competition,
real competition. And Sabonis and him have a thing.
They
have a thing from last season even, and we saw it already. This is going to be the third game now. There's a thing between them. So I hope that doesn't. And so my main concern is that I hope it doesn't take Randall out of the style of play that he had last night, where he tries to hero ball it. So I hope, so in a way, maybe putting him on Miles and Taj on Sabonis could be a way to avoid that. Getting a foul. Yeah. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if Taj picks up 2 or 3 fouls in the first 5-6 minutes and Mitch is in there first off the bench.
I don't think Randall likes guarding centers, similar with Anthony Davis. That's probably why we don't see too much of Randall guarding fives. I don't think he's too keen on that. You don't really see him banging much down in the paint, But
he actually does a good job at it, though.
He does, but I don't think he likes it.
He may not like it, but it's what he's good at. Because very few centers can blow past him. Very few. In fact, I can't even think of one.
I was about to say, I don't know. Yeah. But he can blow past centers.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So he uses his speed. And and he's really strong, so he's strong enough to handle a lot of centers. Of course, there's always guys that just end up owning, Giannis. I mean, he did a great job on Giannis, man. But Giannis is technically a power forward, but still, I think he may not like it, Quis, like you say, but it's what he's good at, So we'll see. This is going to be interesting. This game, the back-to-backs. Actually, I should have looked up what our record is on back-to-backs. You guys know it off the top of?
I don't. I did not look that up. I
Not off
do
the
know.
top of my head.
Yeah,
I got
we're
the
1 and
schedule
1.
up in front of me.
Yeah, we're 1 and 1 so far with them this season. We beat them 92-84 on November 15th, and they beat us 111-98 on November 3rd.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, we got 70 something people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you haven't hit the thumbs ups, that'd be great if you did. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and subscribe to Sports Vibes TV, Quis's channel, and Foxy. You know, he's like our son that we share custody.
Can't wait.
Really,
Christmas is coming up, Dad.
He's just primary custody. I'm just a weekend dad.
Hey, you know what? A big thing I think also tonight is they're 27th in personal fouls. So this game could be won or lost at the foul line tonight.
Wonderful. We do so well with refs.
Yeah, I know, man. It's been a brutal year for us there. And they're also 24th on defense against the 3. So if we have a game like yesterday, let's light them up.
Nice.
George, it looks like we're 2-1 in back-to-backs.
We're 2-1.
Yeah, we won the game against Atlanta.
In the back half? In the back half?
In the back half.
Oh, yeah, because we won that Atlanta game.
Mm-hmm. And then we lost to Chicago on a back-to-back. And then we beat Philadelphia after Cleveland, after Ricky Rubio went crazy.
Yeah, that was a nice win against the Sixers, even though, you know, I think
43 people were out.
Embiid wasn't there, right?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, but we won the game when Embiid was there too. So it's we played well. But that's partly we actually match up pretty decently with the Sixers without Ben. Hey, let's you going to shout out to anybody in the chat before we go on to the next topic?
Always.
I just made Lex a mod. Thank you, Lex, for being
Lex. A great decision. Lex is one of the great mods in history. Lex, how are you, man? Hope all is well with you and the family. He's a phenomenal mod. And Still Dre, what's up?
I don't see Big Task, or else I would have made him a mod. So
another good choice, man.
Yeah.
Wayne Peterson, how are you?
Rick Pennington, D Moore 914, representing Westchester, I assume.
Yo, Yonkers in the house.
In fact, I like there we go. RG going to drop 20 plus. That's what we need.
I hope so.
Yeah, man. Hey, welcome, Still Dre. D Moore, like you called out. Francisco, welcome. I gotta find out how exactly to pronounce that. So by the way,
Francisco Gio.
Yeah, Francisco Gio. Oh, Francisco Gio. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. When you first read it too, you kind of struggle to see where what am I supposed to pronounce? What's not supposed to be?
And we got Kareem Grant is back. All right, that's awesome. Good to see you. You're from Delaware, Kareem? Cool, man. We surveyed 100 people is back. Salute to the squad. Salute to all you guys. Michael
Burnside, Mount
Theo,
V.
What's your pick? Pick of who's going to win tonight?
Oh man,
I'm picking the Knicks.
I'm picking the Knicks too, man.
I'm picking the Knicks. 3 on the Knicks.
Hey,
yeah,
we 3 for 3 out here, baby.
Yeah. Also, we're better on the road. The teams they're together. They're more focused, less distractions, and we just played last night. And even though we just played last night, it wasn't like a physical game, except for Mitch. It wasn't an exhausting game. Wasn't a grueling game in any way. Thanks to the RJ constantly hitting threes to creating space for us. We had like about that 10-point lead for a very long time, which is nice. I never got much closer than that. So that was good. Fournier, he's due for another big game. He's also one that has been percolating, as Clyde would say. He's been contributing in last night he didn't have such a great game.
He's pissing me off in that third.
I was about to say, come on, George. He hasn't had a complete game all year.
Turnovers. Yeah. I don't know what was happening because his back was to us when he was on the right elbow, but he dribbled. Next thing you know, they had in the opposite direction. I'm like, what's going on here?
He's shooting 42.3% from the 3-point line in the last 10 games. So he has been doing his job in terms of shooting the three. You know, the defense and all that stuff. Yeah. And turnovers. Yeah. He has been having, so he's averaging 1.5 turnovers per game. For the amount of, for how little he handles the ball, that's a lot. That's a lot. But only 1.3 assists.
Yeah.
Pretty much a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Well, less than that, right? You said 1.5 turnovers and 1.3 assists.
Well, he's under right in the last 10 games. For the season, he's at 1.7 assists and 1.3 turnovers, which is not good. It's almost a 1-to-1. Yeah, that's not.
It's almost a wash.
Yeah, it's almost a wash. But he's always good with a steal here and there. You know,
yes, he has.
And he gets it like sometimes it's like a key steal. We're like, oh, that's a good one. We need that. But we need more consistency from him. We need a more all-around game. But
especially for what we're paying him. Especially for what we're paying him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's got a nice contract. He's got to step up. He's not getting paid star money, but it is solid, consistent role player / starter money. So we need some more consistency from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 quarters worth.
Mm-hmm.
He lights it up
3.5 quarters.
Yeah, exactly.
Just don't stink it up for that last half.
We surveyed 100 people. I think if he gets 15, I'm happy. I don't know if he means
statistically, if he gets 15, we usually win.
Either one, RJ or Fournier, I'm happy. So last night in the TNT, Chuck and Shaq were talking about the Knicks and RJ and stuff, and you can tell they like him, they like his game, but they need him to be more consistent. They're saying, look, if you're going to be, because they said it flat out, they're like, RJ has to be the second best player on this team. And to be that, you have to be consistent. You have to do it every night. You can't be, whatever you said, like 9 points one night and 30 the other night. You have to be, like, if you're going to be the 20-point guy,
you want to beat a man, you got to hack like that.
18 and 22. 18 and 22. Be in that range. Or if you're going to be the 18 points a guy, it's 16 and 20 in there. Don't have so much variance, so many valleys and peaks, because it's hard to win consistently when you are inconsistent. Even if
your players, your teammates trust too.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And if you're consistent, then defenses have to scheme to try to stop you, and that's good because then you can exploit that. But like last night, they weren't even guarding him on a 3-point line, which is fine because he was missing open shots. You know, I mean, what was he, the worst open shot shooter and
leading into the game?
The worst not last night.
Yeah, the worst high volume 3-point
most
shooter.
Inefficient.
Yeah, in this season. So in that case, but it's good. You know, you can't shit on that. They say, oh well, you can't be like, okay, he never hits his shots. Well, he hit his shots. Well, he was wide open. It's like, yeah, well, what, he's got to shoot.
Not supposed to shoot it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want him to get to the line more though.
To guard him,
and then I'll be contrarian just to be contrarian.
Yeah,
exactly.
Got to the line 4 times yesterday, but he's been averaging around a little over 3. That's where I want him to get more. I want more assists, more. I want him to build up on those assists, especially as he gets to the hole, kick that shit out, and also, like I said, changes. He has the physicality. They're blocking shots. I want him to get fouled instead of blocking his shots cleanly.
Yeah, definitely. So, Quis, I'm going to ask you a question that Foxy and I talked about yesterday in the pregame, which is now we are officially a week away from December 15th, which is the first time
getting out of here.
Free agents that were signed.
I was that close.
Can be traded. And I think also draft picks. I'm not 100%.
Oh, there it goes.
We lost Keith.
In the event of an emergency, you'll be told to where to view Sports Vibe TV in your local area. There he goes, our guy.
I was trying to dodge the question. All right, December 15th, continue.
So my question is, remove big trades out of it. What kind of moves could Leon make in that window between December 15th and February, what was it, 10th, Foxy?
I believe it's the 10th.
Yeah, so it's almost 2 months. What type of moves would you like to see? Is there a player or two that you think could be brought over? Now, I mean, it could be, it could be someone who's about to get put on waivers. It doesn't have to be an actual trade. But now is the time where we can start talking about this in earnest. Because obviously the team is 500. We have issues. We have issue at point guard. We're starting a guy who's never started as a point guard. Probably never. I mean, I don't know. I don't know when Alec Burks has ever started as a point guard, because in college, I don't think he was a point guard.
I think he was actually at Colorado. He played a lot of point at Colorado.
Yeah, he was point.
Yep.
Okay,
a lot.
so
You played a
that's
lot there.
Yeah. He was an excellent college player, and then he went to Utah. He's a Jimmy Bryant guy. So the floor is yours, Quis.
I'll do the stall tactics.
What kind of magic would you like to see Leon do? Because it's hard to judge Leon because he's actually only really made one.
He's been
trade.
super conservative. It was just
he's only made one trade, which was the
D Rose.
DSJ for D Rose. The other ones he made little ones like what Ed Davis,
Norvell Pell,
and then there was some other little ones, but those are just little. Those are almost meaningless. So what would you say? What kind of Derrick Rose ish type level trade, or maybe it's not that. I don't want to put those thoughts. You just how do you feel about this whole opportunity that is going to present itself after next Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't think we have to make any major moves. I just think for example, Nerlens Noel, we're not getting much from him in terms of his health and his production out there on the court. So I would look to move for Nerlens Noel and probably bringing a center if we're going to. That's not the same as Mitchell Robinson, not a carbon copy. Maybe we can bring in someone that can stretch the court a little bit more if Tibbs doesn't feel comfortable bringing up Samanik to play that stretch five. So those are little moves where I can tinker. If there's a point guard on the market that we can try to bring in, it all depends on what players other teams would want from us. I don't know, because we haven't seen players like Evan Fournier really produce. So I don't know what teams are going to really try to invest or give up some talent in order for us to bring those type of players in. So if any deal I see us moving, whether it be for a Fournier or a Noel, we might have to include some sort of draft capital. But I think we have the players on this roster. I think before I go to this December 15th, I'm going to see what Deuce can do. Because the last thing I want to do is make a move, bring Deuce up, and realize I probably made that move a little too hastily. So I would bring Deuce up, see what those kind of players can provide for us, as opposed to going straight to December 15th. Because December 15th is going to hit, but you're not going to see players get moved instantly. It's still going to take some time. Players are going to teams and players are going to wait up until the trade deadline to see if players' values build a little bit more, and then we'll get a better idea of what players could be available and what moves we can make. But right now, outside of star players that you can go out and try to make a big splash, smaller moves, I'm not really seeing those players being talked about on the open market. So right now, I would rather us try and see what we have in a Deuce, see what we have in a Samanik before we go out and try to move some of these fringe players. But we are going to have to move on from them. I spoke with Foxy. We got a bunch of players on this roster that really aren't contributing anything. I can tell you a bunch of players that could be moved or should be moved. Selden should be moved. He's giving us nothing. Knox should be moved. He's giving us nothing. Noel is off injured and not really giving us much out there on the court. And if Evan Fournier continues to perform at the level he's performing, then he's another player that would be going to look at potentially moving on from. I think Evan Fournier is the next player to look at if you're thinking about Tibbs making any more changes to the starting lineup. He's the next man out. So that's what I would try to do if I was the one running the show. I wouldn't try to get too drastic with any kind of moves. I would just wait. Let's see what we have. I mean, we're not even playing Obi. Obi played 13 minutes last night, and it was 4-6. So I want to see what these guys have first before I start to try and wheel and deal and move on from them. I think we have a lot of talent on this team. It's just up to Tibbs to put them out there.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I like that. I agree that we should definitely get a look at Deuce, man. Because so the two areas of desperate need, I'm not I don't agree that Fournier has been that big a disappointment in general. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been as he hasn't played to the level that we need him to play, but he hasn't been like he still has contributed to a certain degree. So he still has some value. So he could be an interesting piece to trade. I don't think we have to, it's not like we have to. He's not like it's not a dumpster fire that we get rid of at all.
Cancerous contract.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't know if we move Evan Fournier and get a piece that is really going to make be an impact player for us. I think if we're going to trade for an impact player, it's going to take Fournier, a player, and maybe a pick. And those are more like elite. I won't say elite because we're not getting an elite player for just Fournier, a player, and a pick. But you're going to see maybe what kind of players? I won't say a Brandon Ingram. I seen somebody mention in a super chat that you might want to get into Brandon Ingram, but maybe a player that's a tier or two below for Ingram, another player, and maybe a second pick or so.
Yeah. I was thinking about it and just looking at history, and the one team that kept coming back to me possibly that we could do something with is the Mavericks. They're 11-12 on the season. And I don't know, Willie Cauley-Stein, Kentucky boy.
You mean the Dallas Knicks?
The Dallas Knicks. Well said.
The Dallas Mavericks.
the Mav box.
Yeah. So whether it's a Jalen Brunson, like you said, I'd rather look at Deuce, but we've dealt a lot with them in the past. They're having some issues, so they may be looking to tweak their roster too.
Yeah. And Lex says that I don't think Evan has been a dumpster fire, but he hasn't lived up to the pay grade. He hasn't lived up to my expectations, even though he might say they were a little too lofty, but he hasn't lived up so far.
Yeah, that I totally agree with that. However, selling low on him right now, I think would be a mistake because he's a proven scorer. He's been doing this for 10 years. He had a great Olympics. I mean, he cooked KD in the Olympics. So, he's trying to find his role on this team. And I believe that he could find it before he ends up just totally falling apart. Yeah, I believe that he could find his role. He could figure it out. He could end up being that 17 points average. He could get back to his season averages. Maybe a little bit below because he doesn't get as much opportunities, doesn't play as many minutes as he normally averages on, like he did on the Magic or even Celtics. But he could definitely at least return to that level of production. That's my belief in him. He hasn't totally proven it yet, but we've seen some great games from him. But in general, he has not lived up to it. That is for sure. Brandol Perez, thank you so much for the super chat contribution here. Would love to get a natural scorer in Brandon Ingram. Yeah,
you and the rest of us. All of us would. We just don't want to give up anything for him.
Exactly. That's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah. Yeah, and they would want RJ. Yeah.
Any major deal is including RJ or a combination of Obi and someone else.
Especially down there for marketing, I think they want to say, "Hey, we're bringing Zion and RJ back together," and use that as a marketing thing. But the price is too high.
Yeah,
just don't have.
Somebody mentioned Jonas.
He's a free agent at the end of this year.
Tom Herrera.
Now,
I don't know if
okay. By the way, Brandon Ingram, that's going to be part of another discussion that we're going to have, a bigger, high-profile, bigger trades. We're talking more about kind of mid-size to smaller trades at the moment is what we're talking about. That Brandon Ingram would require a big package.
Haul.
Yeah, a haul. But I do like Tom Herrera. Hey, welcome, Tom. Good to see you again, man. And Rod Tucker, Faith McBride. I think that's you're new. I think Faith McBride. Thank you for joining us.
One thing we have to remember, though, front office didn't draft RJ.
That's true.
Yeah, but
that is true.
He started every game. He has started every game that this front office has.
You don't really have anybody else other than RJ.
That is also true. There's really no competition.
Yeah.
Other than Quick, maybe.
Hey, you know what? If they didn't believe in him, they would have traded him over the summer. So because there were opportunities, and we actually heard that Leon values RJ. He doesn't want to trade him. So that's good. Which that also could be a way to beef up his value. But at least he did come out and express his confidence in RJ, and Thibs totally does. And we know Thibs he doesn't throw love around that easily. Not that kind of love.
He doesn't throw compliments around that easily. You got to earn the compliment.
Totally. Jonas, I think Jonas is an interesting name. This is exactly the kind of name I was thinking about. Where he's going to be a free agent. He's a stretch 5. The guy's 25 points. He's a bucket.
Don't forget the rebounds. Double-digit rebounds.
Yeah, don't forget the rebounds.
Rebounding. See,
I like the rebounds more than the buckets.
I would be more interested
the spacing
in Jonas Valanciunas than a Miles Turner.
He'd be our Vucevic.
Yep. Vooch.
Yeah. He would be. Yeah. Maybe we just need a center with the last name starts with a V.
Yo.
Vooch. Yeah, he would be our Vooch. Yeah, I like it. What do you think? What kind of package would it take to get someone like him?
I wouldn't do a package. I'd wait to the offseason.
Yeah.
Well, it would have to be a little bit. No, but I mean, we could get him now. Maybe on for a little something.
If they think they're going to lose him.
If they're
going to lose him.
You have to wait till the trade deadline. If you think you're going to lose him, then you would wait till the trade deadline and offer like a second and some filler. Hey, take Kevin Knox, see if you can revive his career.
We'll throw New Orleans in, go back home. Yeah. No, he wasn't in New Orleans. He was with Dallas. Yeah.
See, I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, guys. I'm thinking one of the beautiful things of what Leon did with the Rose trade is he got out ahead of the whole trade frenzy. That was an early trade in comparison to the free agency, to the trade deadline. What was it? About almost a whole month in advance, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
We were like 25, 30 games in? Something
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, so and I love it in baseball when teams do it. When they make that trade early, the guy, no one even knew that guy was even on the trade block, and then boom. Mets have pulled off trades like that. The Yankees are notorious for pulling off trades like that, and those end up being fabulous, or they have a high chance of being fabulous because you get them for that extra month to contribute to the team. And we need the wins now.
We're gonna have to go in a sec, but you have another super chat.
Oh, that's awesome! There we go.
You heard George?
Thank you, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Brando, really appreciate it. Brando's going for it. He said, I would trade RJ and Obi for Ingram. Keeps Zion happy, and we get a consistent scorer. Knicks won't trade Julius Randle. That's for sure. Hey, that's something that's not.
I don't think they can. Until the extension kicks in.
Randle?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I have to check that out. But either way, that's what we were saying. This is the kind of trade that it would require a bigger trade to get Ingram. The one thing,
and if I'm doing that, you're throwing in Jonas as well. Man, I want some more than just Ingram. Give me a nice Jonas Valanciunas, Ingram, and maybe we swap some picks here and there.
Throw in Kira Lewis while you're at it, so we get some speed.
Now it's getting.
They might go a little crazy. He's throwing Kira Lewis. That might be their heir apparent at point guard.
Yeah. See, that becomes a big trade. That becomes a really huge trade. That would qualify as a blockbuster.
As a blockbuster, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's I'm on the fence about that. Personally. Here's my problem with Ingram. He's not a winner. That just flat out, he's not a winner, and he's had every opportunity to be one. He was on that Lakers team. That team is. Look at all the players that are still around the league performing. Lonzo, Julius,
Josh Hart.
What was the other one?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. Who's the other kid? The other guy who was the center who got traded from the Lakers to the Clippers.
Kubik.
Zubik.
Oh, Zubac. Yeah.
Zubac.
Having a good year, actually.
Whatever his name is.
They had a lot of players, a lot of pieces, and Ingram could not lead them, out of the corner. So I'm not sold on Ingram as a leader and a winner. Does he perform? Absolutely. He can score. He's a consistent scorer. He is all of those things for sure. And maybe he just needs more time to mature into that player. But that's
also physically he was a thin pole when he first got into the league, so he's gotten a lot stronger. In fact, I saw a play the other day. He used his body, and then at the foul line, he gave a hit and went up and hit the jumper. So he's definitely stronger than when he first came into the league.
Yeah, and that was a knock against him, his frame when he first started out. Yeah, and he has filled out some. So I don't know. I'm open to it, but it would have to involve other pieces like you guys were talking about. It would have to involve maybe even a draft pick. Has to come our way, maybe.
Yeah, you know me. I'm trying to finesse another team.
Yes, but that's an interesting one. All right, we spent a lot of time on that one. Now we get to see
time for the game.
Oh, it's time for the game. Game's gonna start.
That is true. Yeah, I'm over here logging in right now as we.
All right, log in. All right, man. We got caught up on this. This is great, man. We had a good talk. It's a great discussion. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat. If I missed you guys, sorry about that. Just come back and ask us more questions the next pregame live. It'll be on Sports Vibes
drop
TV.
your comments in the restream too. Not the restream, but in the replay. If you're watching on the replay, drop a comment. I'll tune in, respond. George will probably tune in, respond, and so will Foxy. Probably. It's George's channel. He's definitely tuned in. He's getting the notifications.
Once in a while, I check it. Yeah, this is interesting. So D Moore says it would take Fournier and RJ to get BI.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than Obi. Fact.
Yeah, it might actually because of salaries too.
Yep.
And also the problem with these kind of trades in mid-season, sorry, we're going over, is you have to match salaries and roster spots. Like you can't do a 4-for-1 in the middle of the season, or else then we're bringing in guys off the street.
Too many players.
Finding guys hanging out at the bodega. Hey, you want to put a Knicks jersey?
Well, we did some of that last year. We were waving Terrence Ferguson. Who else did we wave after the trade? We waved like 2 or 3 people last year after we made the trade deadline.
That's what happens. But don't be surprised if Leon pulls off a D-Rose type trade before the end of this season, before the end of this year.
Could you get us somebody in the 20s for a change?
Yeah.
Before we run, I know I won't put you on the spot and say a specific player, but what position would you like that Derrick Rose trade to be for? What hole would you like that trade to fill?
I think it's going to be for the 5 hole.
Foxy, what about you?
I agree with George. I think that they're the walking wounded. Noel, you can't, and I think Mitch is a blink away. Sims is raw. So I think they may have to go that route. So I agree with you.
Yeah. You could see Taj, or we're going to see tonight.
He's good for 5 minutes. I just don't think you could depend on him for,
at the most 10
playing
minutes.
a lot. Thank you.
I mean, and Nerlens is a total unknown right now, but at least he has a tradable contract. It's not that big. So I think at the 5 it'll be.
And there's technically only 1 more year left on Nerlens' contract.
Exactly.
Right? The third is an option.
That was the beauty of that contract.
That was the beauty.
Yeah. And the other thing is, the point guard is an obvious one. But like you said, I think we need to find out what Deuce has. And that's my feeling is, I know we're running over. It's part of the reason that we're giving him so much burn in Westchester is that he gets up to speed, gets it going. And possibly he comes up and he gets a chance up here. Not to start, but in case something doesn't work out with the Burks experiment and
injuries
Rose and IQ, we've been talking about this. I've been pushing this for a while where they become the starting backcourt, Rose and IQ together, and then who's going to be the backcourt off the bench. So there we'll need Deuce. So that's a possibility.
Deuce.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for joining us. You can find Quis and Foxy on Sports Vibes TV. And I am George. This is Into the Knicks-Verse, and we appreciate you guys joining us. And I think we're going to win this game tonight. I feel it.
3 of us.
Yes, absolutely. We need it. We need the win.
Drop those W's in the chat so we know we're going to get that
let's
W.
drop the W's. Let's drop the W's. I'm going to drop some W's too. There we go. There we go. Let's go. Let's get this W, guys. All right. Really appreciate it. And if there's any questions that we didn't get to, just drop them in the restream that come, not restream or whatever it's called, the replay afterwards. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Quis, Foxy, see you around.